Okay, good. Okay, I'm on YouTube now. Okay, so if you're new here, my name is Lisa. I'm a parenting coach, and I'm usually doing lives every day. So if you go in the link above, you can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can look into coaching. You have to apply for that because I'm pretty busy these days. Anyway, let's get going with your questions if you have any. If not, guess I won't be answering them. That wasn't funny. I don't know why I laughed. I'm a little bit punchy tonight. Had a lot of caffeine today. So, okay. So, just waiting for your parenting questions. I'm also on YouTube at the same time. I save all of my lives on YouTube. I don't know why. I was just the person who does all my videos told me to do that. So this, I just do whatever they tell me to do. So something to do with the format, because I also save them on here for 30 days, but the format's different. I think I don't know. Anyway, I don't understand social media. I don't understand videos. Okay, here we go. What? Explain to me what you mean by learning by deletion without discipline. What are you talking about? I've never said anything like that. I don't know what you're talking about. Okay. If something like that is on one of my videos, I've never said anything like that. Okay. You mean negative deprivation? Is that what you mean? And what do you mean by without discipline? Anyway, I don't know what you mean by that. Okay. My 2-year-old is hitting and violent during tantrums. Yeah, you just have to physically restrain them. When they hurt themselves, someone else, or damage property, when they're little, you physically restrain them while they're doing so. And then let go. If they go at it again, hold them again. You don't look at them or talk to them, though. They understand they're being held. Don't worry about it. People tend to over-explain things to toddlers. They're not about words, they're about actions. You just have to prevent them from hurting someone else or hurting themselves or damaging property. Sometimes parents will say, I can't believe my toddler hits his head on the coffee table during a tantrum. Well, usually toddlers do. They usually do stuff like that. That's normal. So yeah, because they're like a whirlwind. They don't know what's going on, right? Tantrums are crazy. How do I help my 2.5-year-old and 5-year-old? They're always fighting about toys. There's so many different ways to approach that. But you can have separate toys. They have to go, if they don't want to share a certain toy, they have to take it in their own room. Or you can just remove each kid for a few minutes each time until they learn how to get along. Or you can show them how to share. You can have that toy for a couple of minutes. I'll put on a timer. Then you can have it. There's a million different ways to do that. Basically, a 2.5-year-old doesn't know how to share yet. They don't really learn that. Repetition. Is that question about deletion? Anyway, I guess what you're responding to is the toddler way of disciplining. How you discipline a toddler? It's through consistent corrective actions, and they learn through repetition. They don't learn the first time. It's not a thinking process. That's not how they learn. They learn through, it's just consistent corrective actions. It's like if a toddler touches a hot stove and doesn't get burnt, let's say, but they touch it and it's uncomfortable, they're going to keep touching it for a while, but eventually they won't. But they're not really thinking about it. It's more of a knee-jerk reaction way of learning. There's an actual terminology for that. I kind of know what it is, but I don't like to use terminologies because that's not my thing. But sometimes I'll get like a child psychologist as a client, and they'll say, I call it knee-jerk reaction. That's how they learn. But yeah, there's actually a way. It's the way their brain processes it. But they're not thinking so much as they just don't touch it, and they don't really know why. That's how they learn. Like this is how 2-year-olds learn. What are your thoughts on kids who not loving school? Every morning is a struggle. Boy, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So what do you do when you've got kids who don't like going to school? I taught my kids, so you got to learn to do what you need to do before you can do what you want to do. Life's full of having to do things you don't like. The sooner they learn that, the better. I never tried to make things fun. I never pretended they are. If they didn't like doing something, I'd say, well, I don't like paying taxes. I don't like cleaning the car, whatever. No, that's a lie. I love cleaning. Anyway, there's certain things that we all hate doing, and that's just part of life. They had to learn that, right? So yeah, I just just got to do it. So check out the behavior board, and you can put down their rule is follow school morning routine, and then have it written out. And there can be an incentive for that. So it could, or you might not even put that on the behavior board. You can just say, follow school morning routine. If you're ready by 15 minutes before we have to leave, you can have 10 minutes of screen time. So there can be incentive. My kids knew that TV would go on once they're ready for school. So they would race around cleaning their room, making their bed, getting dressed, packing their bag. Everything was by the front door. Then plunk, they'd sit down and watch TV. So yeah, I never had to tell them to get ready for school because they had some TV. But then it got to the point they were just so used to doing it, even if they didn't watch TV, they just learned to get ready. And I know a lot of parents say, how do we make chores fun? How do we make school fun? You don't. I wouldn't want to do that to my kids. Like try and make everything fun for them. That's ridiculous because life isn't always fun. You got to do some things that you don't like to do. And the sooner they learn that, the better. I used to teach my kids, you got to do what you need to do before you can do what you want to do. So, and they learned that from a very young age. That's self-discipline, right? How to take positive leadership in my 3-year-old. I don't know if I use the word positive leadership. I just call it leadership. But yeah, check out the behavior board or check out my boot camp course. I've still got those group coaching sessions running, so it's not too late to get in on those. They ask the best questions in those sessions because there's a whole bunch of them in there together, so it's really good. But anyway, yeah, it's going really well. Yeah, you can check out the free behavior board or the boot camp course. The boot camp course starts at the age of 3. Everything's in the link above. Thanks for joining me at this time. I've got like 90 people in here right now, which is Sunday night. It's 8 o'clock here. I don't know why I'm on here at this time. I was going to watch Netflix. I just finished doing some work and I was going to watch Netflix. And then I thought, no, I think I'll come on here. I haven't done a live yet today. So I enjoy doing them. I find them very relaxing. I find there's no pressure in a live. Coaching, I love coaching. It's my favorite thing in my business, but there's pressure. People are paying me good money to get results. So it's different. Sometimes if I can see someone's really not doing well, they're struggling, and I work up a sweat in coaching because I got to get the results, right? It's funny. Well, to me, it's funny. Okay. I struggle with transition days between me and dad, always a few hours of poor behavior. Thoughts? Yeah, that is transition time. It's just going to take a while. I don't know how old your kids are, by the way, but transitions are harder for younger children. As they get older, they get easier. So yeah, that's just part of it. It's just part of it. How do you deal with a 7-year-old girl that struggles to pay attention and instructions at home? There's a consequence if she doesn't. So we all learn through consequences. We don't learn by being nagged or told what we should do. We learn through consequences. So you weren't paying attention to that? Okay, so then, there's the consequence. Like, oh, I forgot. Well, you'll know next time, won't you? She's 7. She can learn that. Check out the behavior board or the boot camp course. The behavior board's free. The boot camp course isn't. Coaching, I don't have time to take on everyone these days, but you can check out coaching. I mix up the ages. So I actually am taking people on today, depending on ages. So yeah. Yeah, kids tend to remember if there's a consequence. If there's a consequence for forgetting, they'll start to remember. Do you have any advice for integrating a newborn into the family? My son is 8. Yeah, not really. It's a big change in their life. How can you really explain that to a child, even an 8-year-old? But one thing I suggest you do, especially with an 8-year-old, make your son the hero. You're the big brother. Oh my God, your little brother or sister is going to just love you so much. So try and make them the hero early on. At 2, they don't care about that. But at 8, that might help. How do I deal with my 11-year-old talking back multiple times? Yeah, that's a tell. It means they don't respect you, which means you're not a leader. Work on your leadership skills and that will not happen. They never talk back to a leader. Why would they? Have you ever had someone that you look up to, like someone that you really respect and admire? That's what I teach, is you want your children to respect and admire you. But it's kind of a two-way street too. So like, you don't yell at them or anything. You learn all this stuff. Anyway, but yeah, it's just a tell. Work on your leadership skills. That will not happen. It's a tell. Yeah. Physically violent, resistant 9-year-old. If they're physically violent, are they only violent when they're mad or just at any time to get their own way? There's a difference between anger violence, and just defiant violence. Yeah, I don't know. That might be coaching. You might want to look at the boot camp course, but I can't help you. Like, I don't know what's the cause of that. And I don't know the history. When are they violent? I'd have to assess that. Sort of the next level thing. So yeah, you might want to look into coaching if you're interested. Anyway, everything I have in my business is in the link above. What does it mean if a 5-year-old's having meltdowns, and how to address it? Well, I don't know, because I don't know your family dynamic. But usually meltdowns, fits, scenes, tantrums, that I kind of call them all the same thing. It's a loss of emotional control and not getting their own way. Usually stops at around 3.5 to 4. If they keep going at the age of 5, I work on my leadership skills. Kids, when you're a leader, it tends to calm them down. Okay, if you're not a leader, they're a little bit more frazzled and they're more inclined to have meltdowns at 5 years old. So work on your leadership skills. Everyone wants to know how to fix your kids. We're not fixing kids here. We're teaching parents. When you're like, I managed to get respect with hundreds of kids, teenagers, toddlers. Was it them or me? And I never worked with an easy kid, not once, not ever. No one ever handed me an easy kid. They always said, good luck with this one, Lisa. So yeah, I managed to get respect. So it's you. It's always you. Take the full responsibility for your children's behavior. Between the ages of 3 and 12, their behavior is it's just a result of your parenting. That's it. So work on yourself, 3 to 12 years old. Under the age of 3, they're just crazy because they're forming. And then teenagers, they're a little bit more influenced by outside stuff, but still, and their behavior is not 100% a direct result of your parenting. But 3 to 12, it is. So work on yourself. It's about you. I teach parenting. I don't teach kidding or teenagering. They already know how to teenage. They're reacting to you, by the way. So that's all it is. Their behavior is a reaction to your parenting, to your leadership or lack of leadership. That's all it is. That's all it is. Usually people have been watching my lives now and my videos for a while before they hire me. So they already get it. It's all about you. I teach parenting. And whenever I was working with kids, if they acted out under my care, and I had them maybe an hour a week or even just 1 hour, sometimes I'd work with a kid. And if they acted out when I was in charge of them, like as their mentor, their behavioral sort of tutor kind of thing, if I was doing that, I always sort of thought, what am I missing here? What am I doing wrong? I never blamed them. I always blamed myself. I took the responsibility. That's what a leader does. You take responsibility. And you think, what am I missing here? What am I doing wrong? That's the way I would approach it every time with kids. I would never blame them for their behavior. I would always blame myself. As a leader, that's what a leader does. You take responsibility. They're just kids, right? How would you deal with a 7-8-year-old boy fighting with and picking on younger sisters, age 3 and 20 months? Well, again, if you're a leader, they don't tend to do that stuff. But you check out the behavior board or the boot camp course, and you can put down no being mean to your younger sisters. Okay, and every time he does, he has to do something nice for them. So let's say the 3-year-old and 20-month-old gets to play with one of his favorite toys with you. They often want to play with that older kid. Say, no, you cannot join in. So check that out. It's in the free behavior board, or you can look up the boot camp course. How do I get my 2-year-old to get off the bottle? Well, they're not going to get off the bottle. You're just going to get rid of it. You're going to say, all gone. My son was 18 months old, and the only reason I let him have a dummy till he was 18 months old was because we were going to be flying from Australia, where we lived, to Canada to visit my family. And that's a 24-hour flight, like between, and we had a stopover. So it's a 24-hour trip. And I thought, there is no way I'm going to take this dummy away from this dummy-dependent 18-month-old on a 24-hour trip. No way. So as soon as we got home to Australia, the next day I had, I was tired and worn out from the trip, jet lag. And I don't know why I decided to do it right away. And I took all his dummies away, and he helped me. So we put them all in a bag, and I said, you're a big boy now. No more dummies. Bye-bye. I picked him up. He was holding the dummies in a little Ziploc bag. And I opened up the big wheelie bin lid, and he threw them in. And I said, bye-bye, no more dummies. And he had tantrums, right? So I thought, oh, I am in for it. And I got jet lag. What the heck am I doing? How stupid am I? Anyway, he never asked for one once. Not one. I was shocked. Anyway, but every time he'd go like this, and then he'd look at me, I'd instantly look away. There's no way I was going to get eye contact with him when he was looking for a dummy. He never cried, nothing. So yeah, just do it all like pulling up a Band-Aid. He kind of already knew I was kind of a leader anyway. They kind of start to pick up on that even at that young age. So he knew when I said they're gone, they weren't coming back. He just knew that. Okay. So what do you do instead of media blackout? I have if you look at my behavior board, it's completely free. It explains that. There's other ways of doing that. I just use media blackout because that's the most common one. Everyone kind of gets that, right? And it's really good for older kids too. But yeah, then you can take away a favorite toy for 24 hours. You know, check it out. It's free. Behavior board explains that. Is it still okay if my house isn't all the way baby proof? My son is 19 months. Do I need to prove? Well, that's up to you. You know, what you're going with is my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. So number 1 is child proof your home. Oh, sugar. Just a sec. Hit some button. I don't know. Okay. These are my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. Number 1 is child proof your home so you never have to say no. Number 2 is you set up a toy rotation system so they're never bored. Number 3 is when you want to connect with a toddler, and a toddler to me is under 3 years old. Anyway, if you want to connect with them, you do so in their world. You do not go to the nail salon with a toddler. You go to the park and roll down the hill with them. They start to look at you differently when you enter their world. Like you watch how they play and join in. Number 4 is when you want to discipline a toddler, they need consistent corrective actions because they learn through repetitions, and it's actions, not words. So it's consistent corrective actions. They might learn the 50th time. Okay, they're not about words. You know, all these mini therapy sessions discussing all their big feelings, big emotions, how they shouldn't hurt other people and all that garbage. It's absolute crap. A 2-year-old does not need a therapy session. It's the stupidest thing. Anyway, that's what I'm up against anyway. So, okay, number 5 is stop trying to figure them out. Toddlers are not figure outable. They're brand new, fresh human beings. They've got one marble and some tumbleweed floating around in there. Imagine if you've only been in the world for 2 years, and for one of those years you were a potato laying on a mattress. They're just forming. I always call them crazy, but it's just that they haven't developed sanity yet. Okay, that's my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. So yeah, you childproof if you want to. If not, you don't have to do any of this stuff. There's no hard and fast rule. I did childproof my house, so I never had to worry about my kids. And when we had visiting kids, there was nothing to get into. So all the doors were all shut. They had childproof things on them. I'm in a home now, and I got a grandchild. And I've got, in my home now, they've got the lever knobs. I'm thinking, I guess there's ways of childproofing those, but boy, I could just see kids, you know, figuring that one out. How on earth do you childproof that? But I'm sure there's a way. Okay. How do you help your child when they have negative self-talk? I don't know how old they are. You're going to have to tell me the age because it's different sometimes. Thank you for your videos. You're so very helpful. Oh, thanks so much. I appreciate your support. YouTube's, or not YouTube, that hasn't taken off. But Facebook's really taken off lately. So I'm sure I've got a lot of new people coming in. And I can often tell by the questions too. TikTok I've been on for 2 years. Instagram is also got quite big. And that I've been on there for about 7 months now. And I think I've been on Facebook now for about 5 months, posting regularly. I've been on here for years, but ouch, I wasn't posting regularly. Okay. So I've got to go ahead because people come and go, and I don't want to answer questions if people have already left. Oh my goodness, a lot of questions. Yeah, that's why I mentioned Facebook's really taken off, because the lives used to be a lot slower on here. They were more relaxing, whereas now they're getting busier. I'd say they're almost matched with what's it called, Instagram and TikTok now. Do you have any tips for helping my 6-year-old learn patience without him whining? He's whining. They only whine to get a reaction. If you never react to it, if he starts whining, just ignore it. So yeah. Because when they're whining, they're usually answering or asking questions at the same time, right? I would say, he's 6 years old. I would say, look, if you ask like this, why do I said, I'll never answer that whining tone. But if you ask like this, why do I have to do this or whatever, then I'll answer you, but the answer, you still may not like the answer, okay? But I will answer you. And I'll only answer that once. Why do I have to do this? But because you have to, just like I have to pay bills and I have to pay mortgage or whatever it is. So, and then if he keeps asking, say whatever, like I don't keep answering. Okay. Okay. Someone said picky eater, age 3. Yeah, there's not much you can do about that. Like they do have very sensitive palates sometimes, and I think they're just born that way. I know my son was more picky as an eater, and he still kind of is. Well, not really, but he still doesn't love everything. Like my daughter and I were less like as kids. I think that we love everything now, sort of, and we were never picky when we were little. So I think you kind of are more particular even as adults. You can tell. He had a more sensitive palate, so I cooked around it. I never wanted any battles with food. I just didn't do that. So I just cooked around it. But what I got really good at is pureeing healthy stuff and sneaking it into whatever I was making. So like my cheese sauce was full of healthy stuff. Kids never saw it going in there, but it was full of healthy stuff. And also my son, the first time he ever went and had pizza outside of the house, he said, "Mom, it was really weird. The sauce was red." Well, that's because mine was brown. I had pureed spinach in there. I made everything from scratch. I had no junk food in the house. My kids learned you eat healthy or you don't eat. So, but I did cook around their palates. But yeah, but I'm not a nutritionist. I can't really help you with that. Like, they're either fussy or they're not. I wasn't fussy at all, but I didn't like liver and onions. But I ate it. That's the thing is I really was not fussy. To this day, I'm allergic to a lot of foods. I'm a gluten-free health food vegan, plus I'm allergic to a lot of foods. So if not, I would eat anything. I was one of those who, I remember once I was down at a club med in Mexico and they had an eating contest. And I think I ate some animal's eyeball and something like I had no, not the least bit fussy. I won all the eating contests, not for amounts, but for weird stuff. So yeah, so how on earth did I have a son who was more fussy? How do I fix my child screaming and yelling? Set yourself up as a leader, and they don't tend to do that past the age of 3. Their behavior is a direct result of your parenting. We're never fixing kids. They are just reacting to your leadership or lack of. Work on your leadership skills. They don't tend to act out. They're not rude to a leader. They just, why would they be? Doesn't make any sense. They look up to you. You're like a mentor to them when you're a leader. They like you. They like themselves when they're with you too. Check out I don't know where it is on Facebook, but on Instagram and TikTok. The very first video was called Example of Leadership Parenting, and it's my pool story. That story is like, I have 2 really good stories about leadership parenting, what it means to me. And the pool story is the younger version of it. The teenage one, you don't need to hear that unless you've got teenagers. It's a bit more intense. Okay, what time is it? Oh, I got to go over to Instagram now. If you want to check out my link above, you can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, or my boot camp course. I've still got those group coaching sessions going on that, so you can still get in on that. And all those group coaching sessions are included in the course as we go along. So we're in week 4 this week now. Coming up is week 4, and then it only goes. The course is only 5 weeks. I'm really excited about week 6 because week 6 the course is over. I want to hear how people are doing in it. Coaching, I get feedback instantly with coaching clients, but in that course, I don't get feedback for that. Like, rarely. I mean, I do, but it's not with every client or every person who buys it, obviously. But I'm really excited about week 6. Okay, well, I'll just answer this quick one, then I'm going to go over to Instagram. What can I do to help my 6-year-old sleep in her bed? She gets up multiple times a night. You need to check out my Bedtime Battles course. It's one of my mini courses up above, and it's from 2 to 8 years old, and it's Bedtime Battles. Teaches you how to get them in bed, then how to keep them there. That's the hard part, by the way. And it's going to be awful. It's going to be one ugly night, but it's usually worth it. Okay, I'm moving over to Instagram now. Thanks so much for watching. Happy parenting. There we go. Okay, so okay, this is from Maricela on YouTube. My mom does not speak English, but my youngest brother is 15 and she needs serious help. Can we take your course and I would be the translator? We are desperate. Brother's out of control. Okay, that would be coaching. If you want to look into coaching, send me an email. Look at the link in my description on YouTube there and send me an email. And 15, that's amazing. 15 is the most common age of parents of sons to hire me in the teen years. 15. I've got, I think, 5 clients right now with 15-year-old boys. It's the most common age. It's testosterone, hormones are flying, they anger, they just don't know how to control all these hormones. It's anyway, if your mom wants my help, put down a 15-year-old boy, and I'll remember. So put that in the email. Check out my coaching first, though, and then you can be the translator within the sessions. I've done that before with people, but yeah, it's a lot of work. There's no guarantees with any of this stuff. But I'll give it my best. Get you set up with some systems to hopefully help. Anyway, so yeah, it's rough. Like I got five parents, five clients with 15-year-old boys right now. The most common age of teenagers that I end up working with. Teenage boys. Girls are 12 to 16. Boys are 15. Or I shouldn't say 12, that's still a tween. So it'd be 13 to 16. Okay, see, I don't have a course, by the way, for teenagers. That would be one-on-one coaching. Any advice on how to teach a second grader to do homework independently? Yeah, you can just say, well, as soon as you've done your homework, then you can play video games or whatever. So you use that as, you got to do what you need to do before you can do what you want to do. Like I have no memory of ever telling my kids to do homework, go to bed, or get ready for school. Because they knew that if they did all that stuff, life would be good. I don't know how to explain that really. It's such a broad statement. What I mean by that is they knew that TV would never have gone on until their homework was done. You see, like they got to do what you need to do before they can do what they want to do. There's all sorts of ways of handling that. But yeah, just teach them, as soon as you get your homework done, then you can play some video games for, I don't know, what grade, second grader, maybe 15 minutes of video games or watch something, I do believe in, it's not a bribe. A bribe is when they're doing something naughty and you offer something good to get them to stop. Enticement or encouragement or incentive is something that when they do the right thing, then they get a treat or something fun, right? So incentive is different. 2-year-old or 3-year-old daughter that will not stay in car seat. So what you need to get is one of those, I can't remember, I don't know what it's called, just clients have told me about this. You can actually get it, it sort of is like I never know how to call it. It's sort of like a vest that goes on. Once they're clicked into the car seat, then you put this thing over top and it prevents them from getting access to the buckle releases. I don't know what it's called, but anyway, lots of clients have told me about this. So yeah, it's just something you can buy. I don't know what it's called. I guess child seat escape prevention or escape vest or something. I don't know. But yeah, it's just something that they've actually shown me a picture. It just goes across so the child cannot get access to the release. Okay, so I'm going to skip ahead because people come and go, and I just don't want to answer questions unless people are still here. By the way, when I'm doing a live in coaching, I'm total control. I totally take control of coaching because I know how to space everything out. I know where I want to take my clients. I know where we're going. But when I do a live, it's so completely different because I'm just reacting to your questions. I don't do that in coaching at all. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a question answerer. We get a plan and we move forward, and it's all about plans and systems, and we move forward. I listen to stuff, but it's just to get me to know where I'm going to go. So what I want to emphasize more is that, all we ever seem to talk about on these lives is me responding to your questions about discipline. Discipline is a tiny part of everything I teach. Connecting with your children, bonding with them, showing them respect. It's 99.9% of all this. Leadership is about making kids feel good about themselves, guiding them into making good choices. Yes, you use a bit of some discipline, which is consequences for bad behavior. And that's why we have the behavior board. Yeah, but it really is about connecting with them. That pool story, check out the pool story. It's the very first video on Instagram here. Check that out. It's the perfect example. It's the best. I have 2 stories that are good. One's about teenagers, though I don't talk about that outside of coaching. But the pool story is about an 8-year-old, and it's how I view leadership parenting. It's all about, I don't let anything go, bad behavior. I deal with it, but then all I focus on is the good kid, bringing out the good kid, making that kid like themselves, increasing their self-esteem. And also I'm increasing my leadership skills along with that. Then they just want to please you. When you're a leader, they just can't help themselves. They want to please you. They would never be rude to a leader. They would be embarrassed to do it, right? Because they look up to you. That's what you want. You want kids that look up to you. And you treat them accordingly with respect too. You don't yell or anything. Anyway, you learn how not to do that. I know most parents yell. Most of my clients yell. Every so often I'll get a client who says, no, I don't yell. It throws me off. It's so rare. Most parents yell. You only yell because you don't know what else to do. Like I was never yelled at. I never yelled. My mom was a leader. I was a leader. Yelling just wasn't done because we knew what else to do. Yeah. What tactic do you use for bad attitude or snobbish response? I work on myself. Work on your leadership skills. They're not rude to a leader. That's a tell. It means you're not a leader. They're just reacting to your parenting. They don't respect you. That's all it is. How they don't respect you if you're not a leader. If you're a leader, they do respect you and they're not snobbish or anything. Why would they be? Have you ever looked up to someone like a coach or a teacher that you looked up to? Were you ever snotty to them? No. Why? Because you looked up to them. They were like a mentor. That's what this is all about. It's about getting your kids to look up to you, and you also treat them accordingly. You give respect to get it. A lot of parents expect this one-way street. I'm your parent, you do as I say, blah, 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 all that stuff. That's just, I don't like that. No, I don't let people in my videos at all. I only did it once. People often ask that. If you're new here, sorry, but I don't ever let anyone in my videos. The reason is I only did it once about 2 years ago when I first started doing lives. And I had this is on TikTok. I have a big audience on TikTok. And at the time, I was getting like 5,000 people per live. And then it's a lot of the same people, so they don't turn up all the time. But yeah, and they just started talking about their business. They were trying to sell their stuff to my people. I got rid of them so fast. I'm here to serve you. I'm not here to sell you other people's wares. Oh, I was so disgusted. And then she even said, oh, I'm just introducing myself. Yeah, goodbye. Click. So yeah, I would never do that. It's just so rude. Yeah, no, don't worry about that. But just in case anyone ever asks, I never let anyone in my lives because I'm here. You're here to get my advice, right? You're not here. The group coaching sessions are different. When I'm doing that with the boot camp course, that's different because it's just a group coaching session. That's completely different. I want them in there because I'm responding to them, right? Also, I've been getting told by someone that there's a couple of people on here that are just vile. No, they're not on here. They're on Facebook. If anyone ever says anything nasty to you, like let's say, because people get vulnerable on here, right? And they tell their problems. If anyone ever gets nasty to you, nasty comments, I don't tend to block people because I like getting those comments. They need to spew their hate somewhere. If it's at me, I'm fine with that. But yeah, if you ever feel like you want to spew hate at someone, do it at me. Don't do it at other people. Poor Facebook people, they're getting it bad. On there, I got a couple in that cases, evidently. I don't know if they're dangerous, but they're really weird. I've never seen I don't read my comments, so I've never seen them, but someone told me about them. Now because I don't respond, now they're starting to attack my audience, which yeah, I probably should block them, but we'll see how it goes. I just don't like blocking people. Because like I said, if they got to spew their hate because they obviously have a lot of problems, right? So better at me than I just don't like it when they go attack other people. Like I don't care what they say about me. Okay. 20-month-old asking for the opposite parent when we're trying to get it. Okay, that's really common. No, daddy, when mom's trying to give her a bath. If my kids had ever said that to me, I would have said, you're stuck with me. And I just would have kept going. They're trying to manipulate. They're trying to get control. They will survive with the parent they've got. So yeah, I would just say, you're stuck with me. Oh, well. Can you please give examples of what you puree into meals? I don't really like talking about food because I'm not a nutritionist or a doctor, but I already told you I pureed spinach into the pizza sauce. But yeah, I used a lot of seeds and nuts and stuff like that, and wheat germ and bran and all that, whatever. I can't remember what I used to do. Or I'd puree fruit and put it in the cheese sauce. I snuck everything and everything. And by the way, I hate cooking, but I'm a real health food nut. And we had no junk food in the house at all, none. There was no ice cream or anything in our house. But yeah, So yeah, I would just get real good at it had to be the same color usually, but spinach in the pizza sauce was a bit of a mistake. How do I get my 2.5-year-old to stop beating up the younger brother? Yeah, the baby. Not much you can do about that. You just have to keep that baby safe. The 2.5-year-old does not understand that. You can just intervene, but you cannot trust a 2.5-year-old with a baby. I would never trust an aggressive 2.5-year-old around a baby. Tell you a story. I haven't told this story for a while, but anyway, I had this friend years ago, and we used to get together with play dates with her. We met at a baby play group. What do you call that? A mom group with babies. And then you kind of branch off as the kids get older and wilder. We were having the groups at our house, and it just got out of control at times. So then we sort of branched off, and we sort of just see whoever we sort of chatted with the most, or the kids were the most compatible. Our two little boys were both very gentle little boys, never would hit or anything. So they played so beautifully together that we got together, right? Anyway, she had a little baby girl, and her little boy was so gentle, really sweet little guy. And behind her back, he picked up the newborn and threw his little sister on the floor. He just wanted to get rid of her. He didn't understand concussions or death or anything, but she was okay. But God, how scary, eh? And he was a very sweet, gentle little boy. So never turn your back on a toddler. They're crazy. They don't understand that sort of stuff. Destructive 5-year-old. Okay, so you want to work on your leadership skills and say no destroying things, and make there as a consequence if he does. Also, get a toy rotation system in place so he doesn't have a lot of stuff out at any given time. So yeah, just work on that. Just put it on the behavior board and say no destroying things. Anything you want to stop with a 3-year-old and above, put on the behavior board. Except attitude. You never put attitude on there. Attitude is a reaction to your parenting. You can't say, think better of me. That's what you're saying. If you tell a kid to stop being snotty, you're saying, think better of me, even though I haven't earned it yet. That's just a ridiculous request, right? You got to earn that. You got to work for that. You got to work for that respect. I worked for it. I got it from all the kids I worked with and my own kids. I worked for it. I earned it. Everyone expects respect, but you got to work for it. You got to earn it. Okay. Do timeouts work for two? Oh God, I hate timeout. I would never do a timeout with any age. No, I hate timeout. Absolutely not. I think they're mean. They're humiliating. Imagine if you were at work and you made a mistake and your boss said, that's it, go sit in a corner for 10 minutes. How humiliating. Kids feel the same way. And then you often send them, when you think about what you did, they're not thinking about what they did. They're sitting in a corner feeling like crap about themselves. It's also a fear-based parenting method because you don't know how to deal with them, so you're sending them away. But go over there. I don't know what to do with you. Yeah, I would never do a timeout. I can't stand it. There's 3 things I hate. They're very common discipline methods. One is timeout. It's the one I hate the least. Then the middle one is diversion. Diversion is never done with broccoli. You're always diverting with a lollipop or something. Here you go. You're trying to divert them away from bad behavior. That's diversion. So what you're doing is rewarding the bad behavior because you never divert with broccoli. Here's some broccoli. And then the worst one is the countdown. When they're doing something bad, let's say they're pounding someone, you say, you better stop by the time I count to 3. So then they pound harder, and then they break at 3. And then it's just a fear-based parenting method. They all kind of are, and they just don't work. Anyway, and then they're not even punished. So they stop pounding at this other kid after 3, and then there's no punishment. Where's the lesson? I can be absolutely rotten and mean and beat someone up for 3 counts, but not 4. You see? It's a mixed message. It's okay to be rotten for 3 counts, but not for 4. What does work? For a 2-year-old, consistent corrective actions. I think it was a toddler. Yeah, 2-year-old. Consistent corrective actions. So if they do something bad, you remove them from the fun or remove the fun from them. Okay, if they throw a toy, pick it up, put it away where they can see it but can't touch it for the rest of the day. Something like that. It has to be consistent. Consistent corrective actions, not words. Words are useless. I know everyone talks about this. Well, I don't know what anyone else is doing. I just get told this. I stay in my lane. I don't know any other parenting coaches or experts or anything. I would never look up anyone else. Because if I'm ever criticizing something, I'm not criticizing anyone, right? I couldn't do it if I knew who was talking about this stuff. Anyway, I just think that would be kind of rude. I'm often asked to go on panels, pretty big shows too, to go on panels to discuss different parenting methods. I'm not going to sit and argue with someone, like I just think that'd be tacky. Anyway, yeah, they're about consistent corrective actions because these mini therapy sessions discussing all their big feelings and big emotions. I know they're trendy, but that stuff's just to feed the mom's own needs to make her feel good about herself. Has nothing to do with the toddler. Nothing. It's for the mom. Okay, what time is it? Actually, I got to move over to TikTok now. If you want to follow me over there, it's Bratbusters Parenting. This is my middle platform. Facebook's my smallest, and then Instagram is my middle one. TikTok's my biggest one, platform-wise. But all the lives are about the same, which is interesting. They're all busy, but they're all about the same now. The Facebook and Instagram have caught up with the TikTok lives. Anyway, so it's another busy one. So what do you do instead of timeout? I just said that. I just explained that. With toddlers, it's consistent corrective actions, or use my behavior board, and it will explain how you use a behavior board. Anyway, I got to get going. So check out the link above. You can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course. I still have the group coaching sessions every Saturday with those, so you can still get in on that. And the past ones are on the course, the group coaching sessions. So you can see all the other parents going through all the same stuff you're going through. And then coaching. You can look into coaching. I am taking on new clients. It's age dependent, but I always take on crisis work. I specialize in teenagers. So they're always top priority. And then my past clients who often re-sign for different things, they want to talk about new things as the years go by, then they take second priority over crisis work. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. I am going over to TikTok now, and I'm on YouTube the whole time I'm doing lives. That's where all my lives are saved. Thanks so much. Happy parenting. So are YouTube, but TikTok starts with ads every time now. Oh, I got it quick. There we go. Oh, it's dark out. Okay. Oh, I've got 2 people on YouTube. I usually get 100 to 150 on my social media platforms. YouTube is a search engine. It's quite different. And okay. How to get a 9-year-old to take responsibility for hurting others. Well, you don't want them to take responsibility for hurting others. You want there to be a consequence for hurting others. You don't want that, because they can be responsible. My responsibility, I did it. See what I'm saying? So yeah, put down no hurting others as the rule in the behavior board. And when they do, there's a consequence. They have to do something nice for that person, or they have to do a chore. Anyway, check out the behavior board. That's a YouTube question here. Anyway, check out the behavior board. It'll teach you how to deal with stuff like that. Yeah, you don't want to teach them how to take responsibility for hitting. You want them to stop doing it. Totally responsible for hitting. I'm going to do it again. Totally responsible for this hit too. So I'm using humor. Anyway, best way to transition my 1-year-old daughter to her own room bed. 1-year-old. That's really young. Like, I don't have any great advice right here, right now for that. I would need to know a little bit more information. Are they going into a crib? Is it a room down the hall? Where are they sleeping now? But a bedtime battles course goes from 2 years old to 8 years old, but you're too young for that. But yeah, I just have too many questions to know why are you transitioning them and where are they transitioning from. 18-month-old is throwing a tantrum and crying if you say no, right? Is that a question? That sounds normal to me. Sounds like a normal toddler to me. They either have tantrums or they don't. Some are born. It's in your DNA. You're either born. It's a temperament. It's something that you're born with. You have a shorter fuse. That's all that means. And by the way, check out my tantrum course. It's in my mini if you check out the link above, you'll see my free behavior board and my mini toddler courses. One of them is tantrum busting. And then my big boot camp course, that's for 3 to 12-year-olds. And then coaching. You can look into that. You have to apply for that via email now because I'm just busy. But anyway, that's that. What was I saying? Was I talking about something? I forgot. I'm not good at night. I'm terrible at night. My brain just shuts down. I'm a morning person. I'm up at like 5 every morning. So into room down the hall. Yeah, I don't know where, you know what I mean? I don't know where she's sleeping now. 3-year-old still struggling with speech. I can't really comment on that because I'm not a speech pathologist or a pediatrician, but some kids don't talk until they're 3. So yeah, I don't know. It's not that uncommon that they're not good at talking at that age. A funny story, my son was 3 years old and he went off to kindy. It depends where you live, but where we lived in Brisbane, Australia, it was called kindy at 3, preschool at 4, and then grade 1 at 5. So he went off to kindy. Well, he was home all day with me, the Canadian mother in Australia. And because they're not that clear to other people who don't know them, you can't understand them. Well, this little Canadian sounding, they couldn't understand what he was saying. And he was a real chatterbox too, because I am, and so we talked all day, and just him and I. But yeah, they couldn't understand a word he was saying because he had a Canadian accent. How do you correct talking back? At 8. This has nothing to do with the child. This has to do with you. They never talk back to a leader. You haven't earned their respect yet. You got to work for that. That's a tell. If they're talking back to you, it means you're not a leader. They do not talk back to a leader. They just don't respect you. So take responsibility for that. That is a reflection of your parenting. Take responsibility for that. Check out my boot camp course. It might be a good fit for you. Teaches you how to be a leader in 5 weeks. How to keep a 3-year-old in a big kid bed at night. That is my bedtime battles course. It's in 2 parts, how to get them in bed, then how to keep them there. It is one ugly night. It is usually a night of hell, but it's often only one night. I always say the bigger the storm, the bigger the rainbow. So everyone's afraid of the tantrums, the fits, the scenes, the whatever, the confrontations. You got to go through that to get where you want to go. You can't go around it, right? You got to go through it. That's like that 8-year-old kid. I often tell this story. He didn't know me, and I was going to be working with him. And he said to me, "If you don't give me what I want, I'm going to have a fit," with that filthy face. And I said to him, "Bring it on." And he never did. It's like, you think you can do that with me, buddy boy? I have no fear of that. I was hoping he would have a fit because that's my opportunity to exercise my leadership. Like, that doesn't faze me at all. Go for it. Have at it. I'll be right here when you're done. Yeah. Ouch, thanks. Got to hear it. I say what you need to hear. If your kids are acting out, their behavior is 100% between the age of 3 and 12, 100% a direct result of your parenting. 100%. They're just reacting to your leadership or lack of it. That's all it is. That's it. It's that easy. I managed, kids weren't cheeky to me. I worked with hundreds of kids, teenagers, troubled teenagers, violent, troubled teenagers. They weren't rude to me because I'm a leader. I know how to bring out the best in them. I know how to make them like themselves when they're with me. They like themselves when they're with me. That's what it is. I increase their self-esteem. When they feel good about themselves, do you think they're going to be rude to me? Why would they? I make them feel good about themselves. That's the key to this. That's what leaders do. You don't want obedient soldiers. That's ridiculous. You want kids with high self-esteem that like themselves. When they're with you and they like themselves, why on earth would they be rude to you? So you got to work for that. Work on it. Anyone can learn this. I teach this to, and also, this is important to say, my clients are often shocked by this. Coaching is different because I talk a lot more personal and all that stuff because it's, personal, right? So I'm not a leader in my personal life at all. I don't want to know where I'm going, what time I have to be there, what I'm going to eat when I'm there. Like, I have no interest in any of that. I want someone else to lead the way. I have no interest in leading in my personal life. I hate it. I'm a follower. But with kids, I'm a leader. So the reason I'm telling you this is because a lot of people say, well, I'm not a leader in my life. Well, neither am I. I'm a strong personality, but I don't like organizing things and planning things. I hate all that stuff. So yeah, you don't need to be a leader in life to learn how to be a leader for children. Okay? Love your children enough to be a leader for them. It'll set them up right through the teen years. You'll sail right through it. How to handle 2-year-old tantrums. You completely ignore it. I do have a tantrum busting course. It's one of my mini courses if you're interested, but I'm going to tell the swing story. It's one of my best I'll tell the mall story. It's quicker and easier for me because I'm a little bit tired tonight because my voice is starting to go. Anyway, the mall story, my son I think he was 3. It was the second to last tantrum. He had another one at about 3.5. He didn't have a ton of them, but he was good at them when he had them. Anyway, we were leaving the mall, him and I. And it was a very loud, busy mall, so this is why I could do it there. I wouldn't do this in a church or a restaurant where you're disturbing other people. Well, you wouldn't find me in a church anyway, but you get the idea. where I'm disturbing other people. Nothing against church. I just don't go to church. So anyway, we're leaving the mall. And he just decided to have a tantrum for no reason. Maybe a piece of dust lint went past him. Who knows? He just decided to have a tantrum. So he threw himself on the ground. So he was sort of near some stairs. So I pulled him off to the side and got out my nail file and just stood there ignoring him, filing my nails. And the funny thing is, I guess I was calling attention to myself because I looked weird. I was standing there filing my nails with this kid screaming at my feet. And people kept coming up to me. And then once one person does, a whole bunch of people, it's just the way it goes. Anyway, it was a very loud, busy mall, so he wasn't disturbing anyone. And so these young moms kept coming up to me. Oh, you should give him a hug. Talk about his feelings. Well, taking advice from someone with young children is like about parenting is like taking financial advice from someone with $10 in the bank. What do they know? I had tons of experience with kids before I had my own. So I was like, what do they know, right? So anyway, that's like, keep going, keep going. But all these grandmothers and moms with older kids kept coming up to me and they were all saying, you know what you're doing. And I said, yeah, I know what I'm doing. So anyway, so I got sirens going by, just a sec. So anyway, he ran out of this. The tantrum didn't last long because he realized it was never going to work with me. So I'm still filing my nails and just sort of having the odd chat with other moms. And then finally he gets up, he's all done. So I said, oh, you all done? Okay, let's go. And off we went. You completely ignore the crazy and reward the calm. And so when he's crazy, I'm ignoring him. But you don't go on your phone or anything. I was filing my, look like you know they're doing that, but you're like you're waiting for a bus. I'm just waiting for it to end. I'm waiting. Calm as in, don't look at them or talk to them. You're just waiting. And then as soon as it's done, then you give them any attention is tantrum food. If you're talking to a child during a tantrum, you're fertilizing it. It's going to grow. But when you just learn to ignore it effectively by standing there looking like you're waiting for a bus, and then as soon as they're done, oh, you all done? Okay, let's go. It's like it never even happened. You never discuss the tantrum before, during, or after. When I get child psychologists as clients, they'll often argue that one. I'm sure we both think we win when we win the argument, but they've paid me for my advice. So and they're going to get it. Anyway, the reason why you completely ignore your tantrum is there's absolutely no reason to give it any attention before, during, or after. Why on earth would you need to discuss a tantrum? And let's discuss why you were crazy. What's the point? I'd rather focus on the good stuff. Where you put your energy, where you put your focus is what grows. If you put your energy and focus in discussing tantrums and bad behavior, it's going to get worse. Why on earth would you focus on that stuff? Why? It makes no sense to me whatsoever. None. I tried doing that, but then she looks at me and asks me, so do you not care about me? Oh, you mean, does she try and manipulate you? Yeah, I would never, ever. If they're having a tantrum, so you hate me, I'm just filing my nails. Yeah, why on earth would you give that any attention? Now, they only say that stuff to get a rise out of you, to get your reaction, right? So, yeah. I hate you, nobody loves me, and I'm filing my nails. No way I would give that any attention. Now, if they say that when they're on Dumbo at Disneyland having fun, then I might worry. But if they're saying it just because you're ignoring them during a tantrum, why on earth would you give that any attention? I hate you, you hate me, everybody hates me, I'm lousy. It's just manipulation. Don't get pulled into that stuff. And then they're the leader then. If you want them to be the leader, give that attention. Guaranteed. Your leadership is impossible if you're going to give that any attention. It's impossible. How do you respond to attitude and backtalk? I don't. I work on my leadership skills so you don't get it. It's attitude and backtalk is a tell. It means that they don't respect you. Their backtalk is a direct result of your parenting. It means you're not a leader. That's all it is. You lead, they will follow. Instead of responding to them, you want them to respond to you in a positive way. So when you're a leader, they do. It happens organically. You don't talk about it. I don't like your attitude, so what's the point in that? What on earth would you say that for? Don't you talk to me like that? Well, I just did, and I'm going to again. Like, why would you say that? Doesn't make any sense. It just means you're not a leader. Work on your leadership skills, and they don't backtalk. They just don't. They'd be embarrassed to because they look up to you because you make them feel good about themselves. Check out the pool story. It's my very first video, and it just summarizes leadership. I don't let anything go. I deal with bad behavior, and then I focus on the good kid. I want that kid to like themselves when they're with me. Therefore, they're going to be nice to me. They're going to respect me. Their I'm my job is to increase their self-esteem. Children who have high self-esteem are very polite and nice to people. Kids who are acting out have very low self-esteem. It's impossible to treat your parents like crap and have high self-esteem. Their self-esteem is in the toilet if they're back talking you. So you got some work to do on yourself, not your kids. It's you. Anyway, check out my boot camp course if you have kids 3 to 12. Yeah, and this can apply to adults. I've seen some pretty awful adult temper tantrums too. Yeah, if adults are still having outbursts, uh, to me, okay, I'm not a psychologist, obviously, but it says to me there was stuff unresolved in childhood, or other people can influence them too. Depends on what's happening in their adult life. By the way, you can sail through those teen years, but then once they're out on their own, other people can have a huge influence on them. Like we can all be beaten down by people, especially when you let people into your inner circle and then they don't treat you very well. You can be very influenced by other people. So you can have temper tantrums when you're older, but is it coming from anger or frustration or pain? All temper tantrums come from frustration, but yeah, so they just haven't learned how to deal with it. Yeah. My 2.5-year-old says no often, and she's bossy at daycare more often. What can I do? Well, I don't know. She's only 2.5. You can't discuss it. So just make sure she understands that you're the leader. And they don't really get that till they're 3. 2.5, they're kind of nuts anyway. Don't try and figure them out. I'll tell you a funny story, actually. I've always had kind of a strong personality. And I went to, I don't know what it was called, preschool or something. I can remember this like it was yesterday. I think I was 3. And it was the very first day of preschool. And my mom was called aside when she went to pick me up, the preschool teacher, and she talked right in front of me too. And she said, "You're going to have to talk with Lisa and tell Lisa she is not the leader. She's not the teacher." That's what she said. "Tell Lisa she is not the teacher." You know what I did? What got me in trouble was I'm a justice fighter. Like I hate bullying and I just hate injustices. And there was a lineup for the slide or something in the play area. I can still remember this. And there was a lineup because I had to piece it together. I thought, what is she criticizing me for? Because I never got in trouble really. What am I getting in trouble for? But everyone kept butting in line. There was no order. And I was trying to keep the order. So I was telling the kids, I said, "No, you go there. No, you're after them." And they were all listening to me. I didn't even get to go on the slide. I was so busy trying to manage this because the teacher wasn't doing it. She wasn't a leader, so I was going to be one. Anyway, so that's what happened. I got in trouble for being the teacher. If she'd done her job, I wouldn't have had to do that. I didn't like to see kids butting in line. They were pushing other kids out of the way. The teacher was doing nothing. So yeah, I got in trouble. I was leading back then. But I didn't even get to go on the slide because I was so busy just managing everybody. I was humiliated. My mom was laughing. I remember her telling my dad that night. She was laughing. Turns out the teacher wasn't doing her job, so Lisa had to take over. But I was told, and then I didn't do that again. I was told not to. You got in trouble for doing her job. Yeah, she couldn't do it, so I did. I can still remember that feeling. Because I had a lot of pride. Like, I hated getting in trouble. I was just humiliated. My daughter had that same thing. Like, we're both born old. We never tantrumed or anything. Like, we had a lot of pride and dignity, sort of. Yeah, we hated getting in trouble. But yeah, it was funny. I can still remember. I still just got sweaty palms thinking about it. And my mom was trying not to laugh. I can remember that. I thought, I'm not really in trouble with Mom, but this teacher hates me. Anyway, I got to get going. It's late. And so what's going on tomorrow? Oh, nothing. My regularly scheduled lives are Tuesday and Thursday night. If you want to check out the boot camp course, I've still got those live group sessions going. They're a lot of fun because you can see everybody else who's asking the same. They're going through all the same stuff you're going through. Well, not all the exact same stuff, but very close. We're in week 4 coming up now. And you can still see all the other lives or group coaching sessions are now on the course. That's the boot camp course if you're interested. Anyway, check out the link, get my free behavior board, that boot camp course, the mini toddler courses, where you can look into coaching. I'm very busy these days, so you have to apply for coaching via email now. You used to be able to sign up on my website, but I can't take everyone on anymore. Anyway, thanks so much for turning up, and happy parenting. Good night.